Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, inspired by Asaborake, or the first light at dawn, we have the Grand Seiko hand-wound spring drive SBGY011 from the Heritage Collection. The spring drive SBGY011 is inspired by a number of different elements. The dial by the first light prior to dawn, at the very tail end of the night as it transitions to day. Externally, by the 1967 44GS case form that remains a Grand Seiko classic and a cornerstone of its heritage-inspired models. So the watch is easy to wear in steel at 40 millimeters in diameter. You can see in profile it's actually fairly thin because it is hand-wound at 11 millimeters thick. 46 millimeters lug-to-lug. It is a very vintage-inspired 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. It wears nicely. It's comfortable. It's flat. It'll fit under a cuff, and you can see my 16 centimeter wrist wears it well. I've got plenty of clearance on both sides, so I believe you could wear this watch well on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference and easily fit it underneath a tight sleeve or cuff. The strap, an unusual small round scale alligator leather in medium brown with a high gloss finish and some undertones of red. You can see in profile it is cut and lacquered. On the underside, calfskin, no crimping, no gouging. This is actually a Parisian-made, hand-sewn Jean Rousseau strap. We liked the look on the Grand Seiko. And then you can see Jean Rousseau's pull-tab spring bars, so you can pop the strap off the case without tools. By the way, Jean Rousseau, the OEM strap maker for De Bethune and FP Journe. We have a single-fold clasp made of robust steel, thick gauge right there, with a trigger release system. So you have to press both triggers before it pops open. It will not inadvertently open up. There appears to be some adhesive on there. Don't worry, that's just glue from a sticker. Taking a look at the case. The sort of polyhedron profile for which the 44GS is known, it's known as an angular case, but there are also curves, and the lug ends are particularly complex. You can also see in profile we have both satin and polish, with the polished elements featuring the optically flawless Zaratsu or tin plate Zalitz machine manual finishing. These are hand-finished cases by artisans who undertake 3-year apprenticeships to master this craft, and it's deeply beautiful. You can also see how the lugs and the case band are not of equal height, with the lugs actually swelling upward almost to the top of the bezel, so there's a little sort of well between the peaks of the lugs at the mid-case at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. It's subtly beautiful. You can see the angularity of the bezel. We have this boxed and cambered sapphire designed to resemble a vintage plexi. No date dial. A lot of folks will appreciate that. Grand Seiko dials and Rolex, I always say, are qualitatively the best in the mainstream luxury class, but they get there by different methods. Rolex automates to the extreme. Grand Seiko has quite a bit of hand craftsmanship. First, all these parts, which are jewel-like in their faceting and finishing, they twinkle beautifully. They're cut on diamond-tipped milling tools by artisans who only make these little parts all day long. That is a full-time gig. You can also see the hands are blade-like, faceted on their sides. We have a fire-blued steel seconds hand that glides perfectly smoothly. That is unique to spring drive. It doesn't start-stop. It's not high beat or high rate. It is a perfectly smooth glide. Pull the crown out. There is a hacking seconds function. All of the indices and the logo are actually placed by hand and caulked by hand. Grand Seiko's spring drive, driven entirely by the mainspring. No motors, no batteries, no power capacitors. And by turning a unidirectional governing wheel, which you can see just below the plane of this bridge, it creates an induced electrical current that powers a quartz oscillator that applies an electromagnetic braking force that regulates the timing. As a result, although there are no batteries here, and this is not an electronic watch, that hybrid of mechanical and electronic operation allows it to be as accurate as quartz, so 15 seconds a month, but still be entirely mechanical in its drive. It's sort of the best of both. So here's your mainspring barrel. Here's your power reserve indicator. 72 hours of power reserve, 30 joules. We We have a solarization on the barrel. We have blued screws. We have beveling within all of the jewel and screw sinks, as well as a lovely satination across the bridges. And this is all 100 meters water resistant, so though it is a dress watch style, it is still very, very water resistant and could, on a different strap, theoretically be used for swimming. A watch with immense charisma and character, distinctive of its brand and of the land that created it. First light on your wrist with a nod to 1967 style externally and the legendary spring drive inside. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.